Hey everybody, how is it going today? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I want to talk about Nanovibronix Incorporated. This stock is absolutely exploding today, so I want to get into their chart and give you my opinion on what could be happening next. And then after that, I'm going to get into some other stocks that I've been talking about and then show you some other nice looking trades that I see setting up right now. Now, if you're new to my channel, I have been trading and investing for over 20 years, and in each video I will show you trades that I see setting up right now. So if that's something that interests you, please consider subscribing so you don't miss any future trading and investing ideas. And also, if you would like to support the channel and become part of our Patreon community and see what we are buying and selling in real time for a measly $10 a month, that link is in the description. All right, the first stock chart I have up right now is the daily chart for Nanovibronix Incorporated, ticker symbol NAOV. And I want to talk about Nanovibronix first because that was one of the few bright spots in my portfolio. I don't know about you guys, but my portfolio has been chop city, and all the stocks that I'm looking at in the market look like they are just getting chopped up like crazy. I think we are just in one of those phases in the market where a lot of stuff is just going to get really chopped to pieces. And when the market gets into one of these phases, it's very difficult to invest and to trade. So you have two options. You know, the first option, of course, is just to dial it back and go into watch mode until the market gets out of this phase. Or you can try to grind it out. I have done both in the past, and grinding it out is not fun, so I lean more towards that first option. I do a lot of watching, and I try to pick and choose my spots on only the very, very best opportunities I see in the market. I try not to do very much trading. But I did get in last week on Nanovibronix because I was absolutely loving this pattern. And of course, it has nano in the name, and those were really popular before, so I figured that was a good omen. I figured all the nano investors might come in and push this stock up even higher. What were the other ones? Like Genomics was a big one. God, what was the other one there? Everybody was saying Kathy Woods was involved in Nano Dimensions. That's what it was. So I figured that was a good omen, so I got in last Thursday. Let's go to the 15-minute chart. Let me show you how that one shaped up. You know, of course, I had that big move up, and then it continued to consolidate sideways, and I saw this resistance area right around 260 or so. So I said if it broke through there, I wanted to take a position, and the thing actually broke through and followed through. I got in at 270, like I said, and it just continued to grind higher that day, but rolled over right at the end of the day. So kind of didn't know what to think there, because that was a pretty decent sell, and actually it's selling off right now. Beautiful. Anyway. Held on to it. The next day it gapped up pretty decently, and then it looked like it was going to explode higher. Then the thing just rolled over all the way into the close, and I was actually sitting on a small loss. And when I say small loss, I mean, no, I'm just kidding. I won't say that again. But I decided to hold on to it over the weekend, and just because it was above that 8-period exponential moving average. So if it's above that, I'll just stay in the stock, because that means it's trying to still up. And I'm being rewarded so far because it did gap up today, and it was running. You know, before I started making this video, it was running. And man, this thing, the way it was J-hooking right here, the way it was hooking up, I thought for sure this thing was going to be exploding towards $5 a share. I thought I was going to be getting into that parabolic phase. But of course, it is turning around. Every time I think this thing is going to get going, it just sells off. And honestly, I was thinking the run was probably done here, even though it was above that 8-period exponential moving average. I figured I was going to get stopped out early in the day, and then it explodes higher, and it looks like it's going to run, and of course rolls over again. So this one is like a bucking bronco. It's like the rest of the market. This one is going to be very difficult to trade. It's going to be very difficult to get out near the high if it does turn around and go higher. That's for sure. But let's go back to that daily chart real quick. If I go back to the daily chart, you can the levels that I am looking at, I would really like it to close above this previous high right here around 375. If it can close above 375 near $4 a share, it doesn't look like it's going to happen, but if it can do that, I think there is a high probability we're going to get some follow through tomorrow and maybe the next day. If this thing reverses completely and ends up red for the day, I'm just going to get out. Chances are that means that it's a short-term top, and if I do want to re-enter, I'll probably be able to re-enter at a lower level. But the way it's looking right now, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it completely reverses. I mean, this has just been a difficult trade to be in. If it does close near the high of the day, I think we got a nice probability of this thing following through to the upside and, you know, turning into a monster gain. But I think it's got to turn around right now. There isn't a ton of time left in the market right now, so chances of that happening are pretty slim. But let's get to the next one. And that next one is AMC, and this one has been very difficult to trade lately as well, but why should this one be any exception to everything else that's going on in the market? Oh, but before I get going any further, if you don't mind doing me a small favor and liking that smash button for putting all of this together, I would really appreciate it. But please remember, I'm not a financial advisor. All this is just my opinion. Please make all of your own trading decisions. But, man, I've been sitting in AMC for several days now. Let's go to that 15-minute chart. And, man, this thing looked like it was just ready to explode when it made this little inverted head and shoulders pattern, followed by this triangle consolidation. Had that nice breakout, and this just completely sucked everybody in on that breakout that was watching this pattern and just sold off. And this thing almost made a new relative low compared to this low. But then all of a sudden it just starts grinding higher again. You know, it finds resistance at this area again. It hits it a couple of times and finally pushes through it. As of right now, it is holding above it at $35.29. Will it hold above it? That is anybody's guess. And in this type of market, I have no idea. Hopefully this thing can continue to hold above this level. And if it breaks above 36.20 or so, I think we could be in for a nice move up, because we got a pretty decent double bottom. Already broke through this resistance area twice. As long as it can hold, if it can hold, I think there's a nice possibility that AMC can go on a pretty decent run. You know, of course, if we go back to that daily chart, we can see that it is, let me get this thing out of here real quick. Zoom in a little bit closer, we can see that it is finding some resistance at that 21-period exponential moving average, but hopefully it can blast through that tomorrow or the next day. And if it does, man, I think we got a clear shot at this this blue line, this 50-period simple moving average, right around 44.50 a share or so. And that should be a pretty decent move up for AMC. AMC has been oversold for quite a while, so I think a move back up to this 50-period simple moving average is not going to be a very big move at all compared to this pullback. So I think AMC has a pretty good chance of exploding higher in the next day or two. But the next one I want to talk about is NLST. This one I talked about way back here. I thought if it moved up the next day, it was probably going to find some resistance at that 8-period exponential moving average and then roll over, and that's kind of what's going on. It didn't quite make it there for whatever reason. It is not, hasn't made it all the way to the 8-period exponential moving average, but it is right there. Let me edit this moving average and see if it's following the 7. Yeah, it looks like it's following the 7 more than it is the 8. So you just need to make that little adjustment on your chart. Just find the one that it is following on that specific time frame. But this is kind of what I expected, a move up into that average and then kind of a rollover. But I think there's a very strong possibility that NetList is probably going to have another encounter with this 50-period simple moving average right around 555 or so. So I mean, it wouldn't be surprised if we got some more downside in NetList Incorporated. Now let's get to ZEV. I was actually watching this one all last week, and let me put my 8-period on there. I'm back again. I was watching this all last week, waiting for this thing to come down to the 8-period exponential moving average for a potential day trade. And I was watching NAOV today. I just got a little hypnotized and I totally missed ZEV, and it came down, hit that 8-period exponential moving average just perfectly at right around 895, and this thing has reversed higher big time. Probably been up at least 10% on that day trade right now. If I was still holding it, I probably would have taken profits a little bit sooner, but man, just a great reversal for ZEV off of that 8-period exponential moving average. Oh well, I'll just have to catch the next one. But the next one I want to show you guys is FULC. This one is setting up pretty decently. I think if this continue to move sideways until this moving average catches up, we're going to get another slingshot move higher. So Fulcrum Therapeutics is definitely one you should keep on your watch list. Tons of volume coming into this one, so I would expect another move higher if it can consolidate at this level. Looks like it's doing it so far. I wouldn't be a bit surprised either if it rolled over tomorrow, but it should find support at this moving average if it comes down that far. But definitely Fulcrum Therapeutics setting up beautifully on the daily chart. Another one that I'm watching is OPGN. OPGN was making a pretty decent candle earlier in the day, but it has pulled back, but it is making a beautiful triangle consolidation nonetheless, and this thing just looks poised to break out. Now, of course, breakouts in this market, some of them are working, some of them are not, and I think you got to be careful on a stock like this, but it's definitely a beautiful setup. If this thing does break out, I'm going to be keeping a close eye on it to see how the price action shapes out. And if it can break out and hold, I think I'm going to take a shot on OPGN because that is a beautiful pattern. Another one that I'm watching for a potential trade is PDS. Been watching this one for several weeks. It's finally breaking out of this little triangle consolidation that is making and started to head lower. I think if it can come back down to this support area that I have on my chart, this is going to be a fantastic setup. Now, it might end up breaking through this support area, but I would expect it to find some support at this 200 period simple moving average. So I'll be waiting probably to buy some in this area, but if it does break through it, I'll probably add a little bit more at that 200 period. You know, I'll take a little bit smaller than normal position in PDS just because I might be ended up buying it in 2 blocks, but I definitely think that PDS is due for a bounce, and this is just a beautiful setup. Just for either a swing trade or a day trade. So PDS is definitely on my list. Another one I want to talk about is another one of my holdings is the Tattooed Chef. And man, this thing has gapped down and it is following through to the downside. I mean, this thing is just getting mutilated. I think I'm in this one at about maybe 1580 a share, something like that. 1590 a share, maybe a little bit higher. I think it's like 1590 a share. Either way, I'm almost right back down to break even. I was up substantially on this position, but I think if it gets down to this area, I'm going to add to it. I plan on holding Tattooed Chef for the long term. It's not one of my bigger positions, but I do think this company has a lot of potential, and it's getting down to a very great, solid, long-term support area. I don't know if great's the right word, but just a rock-solid support area for the long term, going back several years. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised if we do get a bounce because this thing is oversold. A lot of momentum to the downside, a lot of climax selling coming in. So this thing could be a fantastic swing trade if you want to swing trade this stock, or if you have a position in the stock, this is a pretty decent area to be adding, and that's what I am going to be doing. And just to point out a couple more stocks that are just getting absolutely mutilated. HYLN out there is getting beat up pretty bad. Man, this thing just continues to fade down into the abyss. So if you want to be a long-term owner of this stock, I personally don't at the moment, but if you did, the price is coming down quite a bit. I mean, this is definitely a time when you want to take a deeper look into a stock like this because the price is cheap. Next one is XL Fleet. This one is fading down into the abyss as well. You know, these last two stocks I've been talking about were very popular at one point. And if you wanted to be an owner here, then be an owner here. You know, I mean, this is much, much cheaper, but I personally don't want to be an owner of XL Fleet at this point, but I just wanted to point out that these stock charts are starting to look pretty attractive if you did want to be an owner. The next one is SOFI. This one was very popular as well. I would want to be an owner of this more than those last two, but I think the way that this thing is following through to the downside after that gap down, we could have definitely be headed towards you know, $12 a share or so. And if it gets down to 12, I'm going to strongly consider taking a position in this one because I do like what I've read so far in SOFI. And the last one I want to talk about is NNOX. I know this one was very popular with a lot of people, and this thing is really starting to roll over now. I mean, this thing looks like it has a date with $20 a share for sure. So if you want to be an owner in NNOX, man, it's starting to get attractive at these levels. Okay, everyone, that is all I have for this video, so I'm going to end it right there. But if you have any questions or comments on any of these stocks, or if you have any other ones you want me to take a look at, please leave it down there in the comments section. I will get to them as soon as I can. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching my video all the way to the end, and until next time, take care, everybody.